Good morning, and welcome to All People's Church, Unitarian Universalist. My name is Marianne Clark, and I am your co-celebrant this morning. Our Sunday service is a time of shared worship for all present as we gather for music, spoken words, a time of reflection and inspiration as a religious community. Let us come together in a spirit of compassion and respect for ourselves and others attending the service. We especially welcome those who are visiting today. If you haven't yet done so, please sign in at the visitors table by the front door, where you can be placed on our mailing list to receive weekly emails and the monthly newsletter. Before we continue on to worship, Joe Burnham has an announcement.
Thank you, Marianne. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
First, I would like to thank you all and share the letter from Don't Forget to Feed Me that I have put in the window of the office for all of you to read. Every dollar you donate to Don't Forget to Feed Me helps this wonderful cause. If you can help this week or next, please see me or Paul Chapman after the service. I would like to give a special shout out to Colleen, who has been making sure that Eastside Ministry gets dog and cat food, because since the fire, we have to take it daily. They can't store anything. Colleen has been amazing helping us with this endeavor. Of course, I would like to thank all of you who support Don't Forget to Feed Me every month. Because of you, pets get to stay in their homes. Elderly folks get to keep their companions. Children don't have to say goodbye to their special friends. This is so important, and it's so important to keep dogs and cats out of the shelters. So once again, I would like to thank you from Don't Forget to Feed Me, all its recipients, and myself from the bottom of my heart. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Joe. Our final announcement this morning is to welcome Lori King Nelson. Lori is frequently both in the pulpit and in the congregation at All People's Church. Lori holds a Master of Divinity from Bright and has enjoyed a real affinity with Unitarianism. Welcome back to the pulpit, Lori. Now please settle for some opening music.
Yeah, amen. Whew. Thank you. Charles Dickens wrote in Great Expectations, "It was one of those March days when the sun shines hot and the wind blows cold, when it is summer in the light and winter in the shade." That's where we are today. I hope you find a good balance of both in your journeys for the day. Let us join ourselves in the call to worship. Let us be the hands and feet of transformation. Let it begin or continue here in this space with these seekers of change. Let our dreams of welcome come alive.
We now invite you to stand as you are willing and able for the chalice lighting, the opening hymn, and our spoken affirmation. Our chalice lighting words today are from Eric Walker Wilstrom. Here in this place and with these people, may we listen so we can hear. May we hear so we can feel. May we feel so that we can know, and may we know so we can change ourselves and this world. May this chalice we light our way. Our opening hymn for the month of March is hymn number 1017 in the Teal Hymnal. Thank you, Misha. That was magnificent. Please now join me for our affirmation. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve others in community, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with creation. Thus do we covenant with one another. Please be seated. The young and the young at heart are now invited to come forward for our time for all ages here at the front of the chancel.
Good morning. So, what I'm talking about today is a little bit about immigration and a little bit about how we treat other people. So, one of the trips I made a lot of years ago was to the border in Arizona, and this was one of the border walls, one of the sections of the border walls that was built there. It confused me as to why they had a cross on a wall that was meant to keep people out. I was a little confused by that, yeah. But here were people who were gathered on the other side of the wall who were waiting there for their families that were stuck on this side of the wall to be able to come visit with them. And we saw lots of families like that. You could see from here, the border wall kind of extends. We can move this down and get this out of the way. The border wall kind of extends really, really far. And do you see the razor wire that's on top of it? And imagine how many people are cut by that, just trying to climb across to get to a better life. Yeah, it's really sad, isn't it? But there are a lot of people who are working real hard to make sure that whatever journey that these people have to make, that it's much safer for them. So one of the things that we do on my land and on other people's land is we have backpacks. And I'm going to tell you all right now, the backpacks do not look like this, nor do they contain any of the specific items in here, because we want to make sure that there are no identifiable items that can be traced back to us. So these are just representative. So we take backpacks of all different kinds. We try to make sure they're a little bit darker so that Border Patrol doesn't find them. Here, I'm going to let you pack this. So take things out one at a time. Let's talk about them. What is that and what is it for? Masks to keep them from getting COVID and flu. Socks to keep their feet warm. A lot of times they're moving through rain and rivers and things like that. And so their socks will get wet, and that can be real damaging to their feet. Yeah.
Extra socks is good.
Extra socks is very good. Right? Band-Aids so that they can cover the places that get injured. I would imagine walking that far, you get a lot of blisters. A flashlight! What could they possibly use a flashlight for?
Well, when they're traveling in the dark.
That's exactly right. You want to make sure you don't trip over a hole or land on a snake. Food. Yeah, and it's good to have it packaged like that so that it doesn't spoil, right? So that's a packet of salmon. Crackers, that's right.
A map and some money.
Yeah, is that a map of Texas? Yeah, we have specific maps that we put into the bags, and we always want to make sure we tuck some money in there because they need to be able to buy some things.
First aid stuff?
A little tiny first aid kit, yes.
Water.
Right, and that was my water from this morning. We give them fresh water. So. Ooh, yeah, and why would they need to, what kind of things might they need to put in those?
Let's say they have some hand-me-downs that are really important to them. They can take it with them.
Right.
They can also find like nuts and foods and
What if they have pictures of their family? Right. Yeah. And that keeps them safe while they're traveling so they don't get wet or dirty, right? Yeah. So we always pack extra plastic bags. Right. Because if they have an opportunity and find a waterway, they may want to clean up, right? Yeah. I know I would. Thank you for putting that in the side pocket. Soap. Yes, so they can take a bath or a rain shower. It is medicine. That's right. Advil for pain. Yeah. Very good. Yeah. So it's an alcohol antiseptic spray so that they can put it on their injury. Yeah. Got it? Is that it? Now, things will vary. It depends upon the season, because sometimes we'll put blankets in there. And yeah, often we put blankets in there. Sometimes they're lighter, sometimes they're heavier, depending upon the seasons, because they're moving through the desert. And while the days are hot, nights are very cold. Yeah. And we want to make sure that the blankets are kind of water repellent too, so that if it rains on them, their blanket doesn't get soaked and get them soaked. Yeah. So if anybody ever asks you if you want to share some items for a bag for migrants, and the bag is going to be set off in the desert somewhere where they can find it on their journey, what are you going to say? Right. And you'll kind of know what things that they need, right? Okay. Can ask their dad because he knows about these things. Yeah.
Before they were allowed to go, but they can't go back.
Mm-hmm.
They can right now, but he's not touching citizens.
Right. Yes, absolutely. Because, once your grandmother dies, you don't have a chance to visit. And your situation is just like this, right? Where you would have to visit family through that wall. Yeah. Oh, okay, you have dual citizenship so that you can travel. Okay. Fantastic. One uncle stays in Mexico. Well, I appreciate you helping me pack this bag for someone, and I really appreciate that you know so much already about the crisis at the border and how it impacts real people. All right, thanks for coming down. Have a great week. Let's sing them out. Our reading this morning is called Not One More Refugee Death by Emmy Perez. Thousands of fish killed after Pemex spill in Rio Salado, and everyone runs out to buy more bottled water. Here, our river kills more crossers than the sun, than the singular heat of Arizona, than the ranch lands near the Falfurrias checkpoint. It's hard to imagine an endangered river with that much water, especially in summer and with the Falcon Reservoir in drought, though it only takes inches to drown. Sometimes, further west, there's too little river to paddle in Boquias Canyon, where there are no steel column walls, except the limestone canyons drop, and where a puma might push wade across, or in El Paso, where double-fenced muros sparkle and blind with bullfight ring lights. The ring, the concrete river mold, and above, a Juarez mountain urges, La Biblia es la verdad, Lila.
We give to remind ourselves how many gifts we have to offer. We give to remember that we are part of something bigger than ourselves. We give because we believe in music and in sacred space. We give with the faith that together we have enough. Each Sunday we take half of the non-dedicated cash offering that is received and share it with a local organization whose values and goals reflect our own. This quarter, we are supporting the Native Prairies Association of Texas, a nonprofit land trust dedicated to the conservation, restoration, and appreciation of native prairies, savannas, and other grasslands in Texas. Please give generously. The gifts of the congregation will be most gratefully received. Will the ushers please come forward? Please rise as you are willing or able to join me in the singing of hymn number 183, The Winds of Change Forever Blown. Please be seated. At this time in our service, we pause to give time and attention to the things in our community that are important to us. We gather here for healing, for peace in our hearts, and to acknowledge the shared stories and news from the congregation. Each week, there is a journal outside the entrance to the sanctuary where you can write a message of memory or hope before the service. We honor these messages by lighting 3 candles here next to our chalice. Also, at any time during our service, you are welcome to come forward and light a candle in our meditation center here at the side of the chancel. And in the Book of Memory and Hope, we have a blank page. So let us open our minds and heart to the place of quiet, to the silent prayer for the healing of pain and for the soft, gentle coming of love. Our meditation words are by Lynn Cox. Creative Spirit, source of life and love, we give thanks for the beauty of this day and for the company of those assembled here. Thank you for the breezes of change, clearing our heads and bringing fresh ideas. May they cleanse our minds of the oppressions and the isms that divide us. Thank you for the flame of hope, the heat of righteous anger, the warmth of compassion, the fire of commitment. May they bubble the cauldrons of transformation. Thank you for oceans of love, rivers of connection, tears of relief, and pools of serenity. May the healing waters flow over us and through us and among us, wearing down the sharp rocks of despair to bring joy in the morning. Thank you for the good earth beneath us, around us, and within us. May we take this clay and recreate a new realm of justice and beauty. Let us pause for a moment of silent meditation, and then Misha will lift our hearts with music.
When I was young, I had a music box that had a tune very similar to that. And it also, of course, had the little ballerina doing her. And I loved it. I am the reason it quit working, because I played it so much. It could have been a scene from Oklahoma. Hugh Jackman singing about a bright golden haze on the meadow, the sun lazily lifting itself over the corn that was high as an elephant's eye. Everything just perfect and peachy keen. Except there was no haze, no meadow, no corn. Just the sun bearing down on cactus, prairie dogs, and the occasional snake. And a young boy with a paintbrush sitting on a chair in front of an easel holding a blank canvas. He was beckoning me to come paint with him. I looked around and couldn't imagine what he was seeing that was worthy of painting. It was just so empty. Then I woke up. The dream stayed with me throughout that day, or at least the feeling of it did, in the way that dreams can leave an impression on us. By the time I climbed into bed that night, I had forgotten all about it. Until years later, I dreamed it again. You know, for decades, I tossed around the idea of creating a safe space where people could come learn about faith systems different from their own, or even different from their non-faith system. I wanted to start my own monastery. A faith-based communal living center. I was advised not to call it a commune. In 2011, that idea expanded into creating a living community of faith where people from all faiths and non-faiths could come and learn about how to live together in harmony. By 2014, I was looking for a church that might have a parsonage on an acre or two that I could convert into a small suburban monastery. Someplace with beautiful trees and gardens and a rose-filled labyrinth for meditative walks. That was my woo-woo phase. I was even approached by two women from the group Daughters of Abraham, who said if I created a space like this, they would help defray my cost by using the space for a women's counseling center and retreat. Yes. My dream was coming true. Then that dream happened again. Same boy, sitting in a field with yucca of all sizes. Same easel. Only this time the canvas was covered in big blobs of brightly colored paint. So thick that the paint should have been falling off the canvas, but it wasn't. I wanted to reach out and put my fingers into the paint to see if it was dry. Was that why it wasn't dripping off the canvas? "Come paint with me," he said, as I slowly moved toward him. I asked what he was painting, but before he could answer, my alarm went off and I woke up. In 2016, I left behind all of the thoughts of a religious-based garden paradise and began focusing on justice issues. Eco-justice and sustainability, social and racial justice, and immigration justice and policy reform. I don't have to tell you what events in 2016 prompted this shift. We all felt the long arc of moral justice dangling like an unraveling thread that year. By 2019, I had all but forgotten the dream of the little boy and of the nonprofit I had spent so much time thinking about. But in January of 2020, the Borderlands Institute made it possible for me to travel with a large group from Bright to learn firsthand about immigration and border justice. This trip changed everything for me. It changed me. And I finally understood how to fit the ever-shifting pieces of my dream into something tangible. What was happening along the border was much, much worse than I imagined. Read all the books you can. It still won't prepare you for that reality. In Nogales, there was razor wire coiled atop metal walls that ranged in height from 18 to 27 feet, stretching out for miles in either direction. Rivers that once brought life-giving water from Arizona to Mexico, now filled with debris, contaminants, barriers, and more razor wire. Families living in the same city, forced to visit one another through steel bars. One presenting her newborn to her parents, these grandparents unable to hold their grandchild. We prayed with people through the bars, that is, until Border Patrol agents dressed for war forced us away. Immigration detention centers with people packed shoulder to shoulder in chain-link cages. Bodies found daily in sewage and runoff culverts, drowned in unexpected rains while trying to cross the border. Further out, activists, though fearful of arrest, left containers of water and sealed food packs scattered across the desert, found equally by Border Patrol and migrants. Just watching how this has progressed over the years, it's like watching a slow death of humanity. In Houston, a Baptist minister with a following of 18,000 members demonized migrants crossing the U.S.-Mexico border, referring to them as undesirables, garbage, and RAF, and adding that the U.S. is lost through foolishness. He cited the lost sheep parable and then the new Colossus before using both to fearmonger. He said to his congregation in a church, Central America, South America, now countries in Asia, China, India, Russia, Iran, Iraq, just pick a number. They have sent not those who are huddled masses longing to be free. And he went on saying, they have emptied their jails and their prisons. They've taken their gangs and they have gone across the border. And now we have 8 to 10 million of them scattered across the United States of America. He said this was absolutely factual, but did not offer any evidence to support his claims. Claims that sounded suspiciously familiar and political. And as Biden and Trump were scheduled to visit the border in Texas, the minister added, I don't know, and I say this with a tear in my eye, if there's any way to recover outside of going and taking these people back home, and I can tell you their homeland will not want to take them back because they have eliminated all the undesirables. Now, what could happen when a country eliminates all the elements of evil? We might want to move there because we will not be able to stand under all the garbage and wrath in which we're now inviting to come to our shores, and they're already here. I'm always suspicious of people who claim a religious authority, but somehow miss the overarching message of migration in the books we base our faiths on. Reverend Joan Maruskin wrote an article calling the Bible the ultimate immigration handbook. Joan writes that the biblical story is a migration story. The Bible is a story of uprooted people seeking safety, sanctuary, and refuge, and giving directions for welcoming the stranger. From Adam to Eve, to Noah, Abraham, Moses to Jesus, Joseph, and Mary, all found themselves on the move, migrating, looking for a better life. Migration has always been a part of human history. But because of the widespread changes caused by globalization, more people are migrating than ever before. In the last 25 years, the number of people on the move has grown into the hundreds of millions. Many migrants are forcibly uprooted, and approximately 60 to 70 million are undocumented worldwide. What about our history? Mine and yours. Those of us who live in the Western world are a long way from home and living in lands that were not even known to exist in biblical times. What languages did our distant ancestors speak, and why did they migrate? I know that immigrants I serve daily did not make that long and treacherous journey looking for a free ride. They didn't leave everything behind on a whim. Migration is a central theme of the Bible because it is so central to the human experience. We humans are a migratory species. Very few people live their entire lives in one place. I myself have lived in 29 different places, and that is cities, states, and countries. Many of us move many times during our lifetime. Some for positive reasons like school and jobs, others for negative reasons like to escape poverty or oppression. As one of the most complex issues in the world, migration underscores not only conflict at geographical borders, but also between national security and human insecurity, sovereign rights and human rights, civil law and natural law. Yet, from the theological perspective, the issue of immigration is not complex at all. The immigrant is our sister and our brother. When it comes to how we treat an economically poor person who arrives at our border in need of help, we really have little option. Mariskin says, the nearly 120 passages in the Bible that refer to welcoming the stranger is clear. I'm not a theist, but I wholeheartedly agree with her and have learned how to push back against rhinos, and that's religious in name only, who use the Bible as a weapon rather than following those passages that teach love and compassion. I cannot tell you how satisfying it is to respond to ministers preaching weaponized border policies by saying, show me where it says that in your Bible, because I don't think God is with Texas on this immigration thing. Sometimes I feel the media has become their Bible. Deborah Hafner writes in an article in the Washington Post, loving the stranger was difficult in biblical times. It's difficult still. It means resisting the fear of difference and moving to a place of radical welcome and inclusion. And that means embracing people who are different than us without trying to change them. We can celebrate our diversity and our difference. Our immigration system is broken. That is the truth. But walls and guns and concertina wire and death, that's not the answer. We need to fix it, and people who share our core values need to participate in the process of looking for solutions. in large part because we cannot be seeking justice, equity, and compassion, or affirming inherent worth and dignity if our national policies are ones of rejecting, arresting, and sending humans back to their misery. I've been following the border work of many nonprofits and NGOs, non-governmental offices. We know they shoulder the burden financially and physically of the migration crisis, here and, of course, globally. Annunciation House in El Paso is currently in the crosshairs of our governor and attorney general. Paxton said his agency's lawsuit against Annunciation House, filed last month in El Paso, was in response to a border environment that, he says, allows NGOs to facilitate astonishing horrors, including human smuggling. He also said that he works day in and day out to stop these organizations from perpetuating the lawlessness that is destroying our country. I would argue that it is the violence and hatred against our neighbors that is the destructive force. Now, I don't spend much time wondering if Jesus was a singular person. It doesn't matter. He may just have been an amalgamation of shifting ideals as people migrated through the Middle East in search of safety and a better life. But even that stands as a representation of our own migratory history and call for welcoming justice. Annunciation House is doing that. The Keno Border Initiative is doing that. The Borderlands Institute is doing that. People transformed by a long journey and a dream of justice. I spent so long in the planning stages of my nonprofit, I didn't even realize that all those years of planning were part of my own transformation. My dream changed me. And I have hope that if my dreams transformed me, others will be transformed as well. And even if I only touch one family, one person, I will have accomplished more than I ever thought possible. I continue to dream about the little boy and his canvas, and I've never been able to ask him what he's painting, and maybe I'm not meant to know. That's his vision, not mine. I think that the point is the process of growth and transformation on my own canvas. What do we want to see when we look out at our completed work? My canvas, hopefully, will be an oasis in the desert for people crossing the border in search of a better life. A welcome sign. Will you join us in the closing hymn, number 311, Let It Be a Dance?
Our time together is finished, but our work is not yet done. May our spirits be renewed and our purpose resolved as we meet the challenges of the week to come. The chalice flame is extinguished until once again ignited by the strength of our communion. Go now in peace.
Our benediction is by Emily Richards. May you leave this time together changed. May the promises you have made to yourself about who you want to be feel closer to the reality of who you are right now. May you share that feeling of transformation wherever you go. May it spread into every word, deed, and thought, and every interaction, until we are all changed, transformed and transforming together, becoming our better selves. Service is now ended, and we invite you to join us in the library for coffee and refreshments and conversation.